in the mix with the commish, Nate.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. Thank you for tuning in. A little early season surprises for season 114. Let me welcome in our guest for this week. As always, Mr. Maniac of the Deuce and the Buffalo Bills, and our buddy Big Hurt stepping in for Wayne tonight, the owner of the Minnesota Vikings. Fellers, how we doing tonight?
Wonderful.
I'm doing well, and I'm stepping in for Wayne just fine with a beer in hand.
There you go. Watching some of that game, it looks like he is not going to need a beer tonight. But Bill, on the other hand, might need a beverage or two. Looks like Bill's having a tough one, even though there was a little bit of a comeback there at the very end. Fellas, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I cannot believe we are already getting some games that we can talk about, as we are already in week number 4. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Big Hurt, who's stepping in for Wayne tonight. Cover some games for week number 1, bud.
Yeah, so week 1, I'm actually pulling that up here real fast. I'll just start with my game because it's right off the top of my head. I played Jay Glaze and the Broncos, and that was I think everybody week 1 was kind of adjusting with the new setting sliders, all pro mode type of thing. And so there were some interesting games. But that was a defensive game for me and Jay Glaze, 10 to 17. I'll get it out there in a second. But the game that really stood out to me was the Jaguars and the Cardinals. Joker puts up 51 in week 1 with a big win, statement win. Another game that I watched personally live was the Ravens and the Colts rematch in the playoffs there in the AFC. And Bronco literally did everything right. It just couldn't get enough to go his way in the end, and he falls 38 to 31. And then there was one other game that I watched in week 1, and that was, which one was it? It was the Bengals and the Raiders. I watched a majority of that game, and I felt like I was shocked because I thought the Bengals, we kind of talked about it like in the draft, and I was like, oh, the Bengals have had a really good draft. They're going to be back. They're going to be in the mix, the AFC North. Everybody's like it's going to be a fun division, and here we are. He falls short, 31-24, and now looking ahead, he's actually 0-4 to start. So it's kind of a shocker. But yeah, week 1, those are the games I caught. The one, like I said, the one that stood out was the Cardinals, 51-14, and then the Ravens Colts was a fun one, but it was a tough one to watch if you're either a Colts fan or a Bronco man himself. So.
Though he didn't say anything, because I don't talk to Logan all that much. I see Logan in the chat right now. I know that he does enjoy all Madden for sure. And this week 1 game sort of speaks to that. He drops to Kansas City 20-14. There's another game that really caught my eye of as dominant as Logan was and as sort of hit and miss as Sharks fan could have been. That's a massive victory for Kansas City to open up season 114. What about you, Maniac? Anything caught your eye for week 1?
Really, like there's a couple games, the Giants and the Patriots. That was I know they had to restart that game, but 20-14. I know we're talking about Bill just lost to Dwayne in a close game, but the Patriots too. Like looking at on the other end of this thing, the Patriots have been playing really good. I know they're 2-2 right now, but man, he's been in every game. And this game was like one of the ones that both guys were. You know, it's the first week. We're on new settings again, and so you kind of getting your footing underneath you and stuff. But both guys played really well. I think both quarterbacks played solid. They weren't like spectacular, but you know they were filling things out, but it was a really close game. And seeing that these two guys are really good owners here and stuff, and nice to see. Lost has been really competing really well also, but this game was a really good game. And the other one was the Titans and the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have, I know he's not so far seen the success he would probably like this season, but he has been very competitive in every game that I've watched so far, and this game was no different. He loses 24-15, but really in the game all the way up until the last quarter there, and it kind of got away from him. But good to see that these guys are getting back into things, and glad to be back in the season myself. Getting things rolling and back in the swing of things.
We should also shout out two other quick teams. Green Bay with a 35-17 victory over Seattle to open up the season. That was quite the statement victory there for Priest. And Houston, who I'm sure we will talk about at some point tonight, 38-27, which would send him off into at least a 3-0 start. I don't know if he's played here in week number 4. Let's take a look at week number 2. Mr. Big Hurt, take it away.
Yeah, week 2, we've got the game that I was watching, and he kind of just talked about it, was the Roger with the Texans pulls off a big win over Bronco Man and his Colts. I think Bronco Man was like really marking the season to kind of bounce back and have some success carried over from last season, and Texans and Roger pull out a 17-16 win there, division game. That's a big win for Roger. And like I said, we're going to talk about that here as we go. Another one that I, just mentioned was that I wanted to mention is the Jets and the Bills. That's been a dogfight every single time you watch that game. And I was watching this one, and it was like, I want to say it was like 17-3, and then all of a sudden the Jets score, and it's kind of close, and Maniac just, turns around and punches him right back and just throws that haymaker, and boom, it's 27-17, and Maniac gets a big win. And I've noticed his high level of play with Josh Allen so far, so that's shout out to him. But gets a big early divisional win, 27-17 over the Jets, and then we talk about a lot of points, and the Jaguars have been a victim to this, but he goes up another 50-point game to Fleury, 51-33. Two guys that I was talking to quite a bit a couple seasons ago, just because we were involved in kind of a 3-team trade. And I've talked to Nysanger quite a bit, and then Fleury a little bit, but just to see Fleury find some success with his team, putting up 51 points, and Nysanger week 1 and week 2, he's given up 102 points. He's got to find some defense, because that is not going to get you a win or find any type of wins. But then we talked about the Titans having a couple close games. He pulls out a close game, but loses to the Steelers. And Penguins puts a mark on his season in his 34-31 win early on with a big win over Kobe, which I think I was kind of anticipating Kobe to bounce back. I know life has been kind of uphill for him. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I figured all pro, he's going to bounce back with his team. And then a team that I just lost to week 1, and you just talked about the Chiefs. The Broncos off to a fast start, gets another win, close one, 24-21 over the Chiefs, and he is off to a 3-0 start as well. So just to wrap out, kind of one other game that I did catch is you mentioned, and I just kind of keep an eye on my division pretty closely. I'll shout out to Priest, plays the Chargers, and he got a big week 1 win, but bounces back week 2. And Logan kind of seemed like, okay, Logan's back. He won 23-10, and then the Seahawks, I was like, wow, he lost to Priest. Like, maybe it's just adjusting. He does come back and gets a big win, 34-31 over Joker in week 2.
Detroit with a big win, 48-20. He's put up a ton of points, but also has broken some FPRs, so it's definitely some things to clean up there. San Francisco with 2 big victories in back-to-back weeks to open up against the Bengals and the Panthers in weeks 1 and 2. And then you didn't touch on it, but I will quickly touch on it. Your Vikings coming away with a victory against the champion Bears, holding them to 7 points in each half, 14 points total. You scored 12 in the fourth quarter to come out with a victory there. 2 turnovers for your defense. McCarthy played great, 75% completion percentage, only a long of 28. So keeping everything kind of medium to short. Only gave up 1 sack. Bigsby with 49 rushing yards. Watts had a big day there for the Browns with 141 yards. Jefferson with 88. Both of those guys scored in the end zone. And then Spearman for your team, just a strong safety who's just all over the field. 10 tackles on the day, a sack from Durham and Turner, and then the 2 interceptions from Marshall and Murray. And your Vikings came away with a big-time victory. Anything that we didn't cover here, Mr. Maniac? I feel like we covered a ton.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the games. I don't know if we covered Cleveland and Baltimore, but just to point out, like both of the teams from the OMFL Bowl lost this week as well. So the champion and the runner-up, they're both losing in week 2. We're not seeing quite the dominance from those 2 teams yet so far, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. But big win there for Denbrew with the Cleveland Browns, 21-7 victory over the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, last one before we give it to Mr. Maniac. Week number 3, Big Herd, take it away.
Week number 3, I've kind of hit it on hard on the Colts here. He's got another big game. He played the Tennessee Titans, pulls out a 32-28 close win there. Big divisional, bouncing back as he fell short in week 2 to the Texans. He gets a big win there. A team that's been in some close games, and I think we failed to mention week 2. The Raiders had a shootout with the Patriots, but he had another pretty good game with the Ravens. 31-24. Ravens pull out a big win there. Lions 20-17 over the Browns. Like we said, Texans 33-31 over the Dolphins, and the Bills. Maniac, like I said, I kind of touched base. Josh Allen playing at a high level, pulls out a 31-24 win over the Patriots. The Bucks and the Panthers kind of finding some offense. I feel like both those guys are really good defensively, but can also, find ways to utilize certain pieces on offense. And when Kevin gets it going in the pass game and Bird gets it going in the run game, they have pretty good traction on offense, and they found it this game, 38-34 win for the Panthers. The Priest and the Packers pulls out a 28-21 win over the Rams. I had a really good game against the Steelers. It came down to a goal line stop inside the 5 to win 27-20. It was a pretty crazy game.
He was doing a weird reverse, but you ended up sacking his quarterback. It was a weird play to sort of end it in a gutsy call there, but your defense stepped up.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought for sure it looked like a run, so I shot the gap because I was man coverage on that line on his running back, and I shot just to make the play. And right as I tackled, went to his running back, the guy in the end around, the reverse is coming around, and it was 3 guys right there, and the guy just animation went right to the quarterback and made the play. So I got lucky there. On just the play call and whatnot, and being in the right place at the right time, but get a 27-21 win over the Steelers. And then, we talked about Meek dropping week 1 of the Priest, but now he bounces back with 3 straight wins, and he pulls out a big win over D-Money. He's been D-Money's kryptonite in the regular season.
Sim.
Oh, that is a sell. That's right. I forgot about
sucked.
That. So, I mean, even the CPU finds a win.
Yeah, I was going to say his team's been the kryptonite for.
But the last thing I want to touch base is just not really a game at Bill and Trey, the Giants and the Commanders divisional game. Commanders pull out a 26-7 win. This is not a surprise that Trey is 4-0 because Trey is Trey. But when I look at Trey's team, it's almost scary that he's doing this with the team that he has. And as his team gets better, we all know what he's capable of. But just keep an eye on the Commanders because they're only going to get better as the time kind of progresses and moves along, because the Commanders they're 4-0 and they don't have the roster that some of these other teams have. And when Trey gets his roster right and gets it fitting to Trey's liking, he's gonna be there. And I think I was one of the guys that I was like, Trey's he's gonna make things interesting, but I just don't know that his roster is ready yet. But he's making a statement at 4-0, and I think that'll be interesting when he plays the Cowboys, just to see how that kind of shakes out.
Yep, I agree. I think one of the players that All-Pro really fits well for Maniac. Any games that were not covered you want to talk about here in week number 3?
The one that I was kind of thinking about was we're talking about the Jaguars giving up so many points. He actually bounced back in week 3, only gave up 21 to the Jets, which, by the way, I bet all my money on, and I lost in this game. I think a lot of people lost. So, but kudos to Niceonger. Played a heck of a game, kept it close, and I think that was a really good bounce back game for him, playing against a guy like Cincy to keep him to 21 points. Kind of got his footing on the defensive side, so hopefully he can continue that success as the season marches along.
I agree. Well, what are we betting on? Let's look at week number 4. Take it away, Maniac.
Well, don't ask me to bet because I don't do well. But the Jets and the Panthers is a game that's kind of intriguing to me. This week number 4, we're going to see these guys play. Bird, I think he plays better on All-Pro. And I think Cincy so far has kind of shown like maybe he was a little bit better on Madden. So I think this game is going to be a really interesting one coming into this week. I was trying to pull up the gold sheet. I think this one, got to find it here. Since he's supposed to win it by 7.5, he's favored 7.5. But I don't know, this one could be one that you could probably take the Panthers to maybe keep it within that distance. But nonetheless, you're going to want to tune in and watch this game because I think these two are going to have a tremendous game. The Panthers always seem to get really good deep ball play action passes that seems like a lot of guys can't get. And so this would be a game to watch. And also, we talk about the Texans. The Texans and Falcons. I think this game is one you want to take the over, obviously. And I know I'm kind of taking the gold sheet angle from this, and maybe I should do it differently. But
no, I like it.
The Texans and the Falcons, I think you would probably take the over because we've seen both these guys put up a lot of points in the last couple of weeks. And so I know sometimes their defenses are a little bit lax. And so I think the over is the 55.5 points for this game. So I think you could probably safely take the over on this one and probably be a safe bet. But again, like I said, who am I? I lost all my money on the Jets game. So, but that's the two games I was seeing from this week. And there's a lot of others we could cover. The Ravens and the Broncos, I think, would be a great one.
Good call.
Since the Broncos are going to coming in hot. The Ravens are, again, the defending AFC champion. And so, this would be a great game to look at as well. And I don't know what the let's see. I got to get my old eyes to looking on the chart here. The Ravens and the Broncos are 54.5 points, but the Broncos are actually favored 1.5. So you could probably take like the Ravens. That's going to be a hard point. So I would take the Ravens there in this one. But it's going to be a great matchup nonetheless. These two are going to probably put on a good show. I think it'd be one to tune into.
I'd also say Vikings-Packers. That's a big divisional showdown here early in season 4. Big Hurt, any other games that you'd like to touch in week 4?
If I'm a betting man, I hate to say it, but I'm betting on the Bills to have a probably one of their higher scoring affairs that they have in the season. Just because Nysonger's defense, like I said, 102 points through the first 2 weeks. Sure, he came back and had a good game defensively against the Jets in Week 3, but a Tiger does stripes don't change. So I think I hate to say it, but I think the Bills are probably going to cover that over. I don't know off the top of my head what that plus is, but double check. 10.5. I don't know. I think they cover it. It's just Josh Allen's been playing almost flawless football from the stats. So I'd have to say if I'm a bad man, I'm going with that. The Ravens-Broncos game does intrigue me. That would be a tough game to bet on just because it's like when Jay Glaze finds his team and gets there, it's like, man, he clicks on all cylinders, and he is tough. But Nipple, it's a different beast like right now because like he has confidence. He's playing like had that really good season run to the OMFL last year. He's bounced back, still playing pretty decent football. So that'd be a tough game for me to bet on. I also think the Texans and the Falcons. I agree with Maniac.
I was going to say
100%. I'm betting the over there for sure.
I'm intrigued by that game too. I'm just intrigued to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like I'm excited for Roger just because like we keep saying like, man, if Roger's just gonna have that season, and man, it's like he's off to that 3-0 start and he's playing good football, he's winning, so like I'm hoping and kind of pulling for Roger. No like hard feelings towards Fleury or anybody, but it's just like, man, it's fun to see Roger kind of getting his traction, and guys like him and Twinkie, and they're gonna have their moments, and even Jay Glaze, like I said, he's just kind of bounced back. The game, another one that really kind of sticks out to me is it's kind of a tale of two heavyweights, is the Colts and the Chargers. Like,
yeah,
they're both 1-2. Like, this game is a big game for both just because the way the season early on is shaping up. Like, if the Colts lose this game, he's had a tough 4-game stretch to start. But like Kobe and Rodgers off to a hot start and whatnot. So like you don't want to go down too far too fast. Same with the Chargers though. Like Jay Glaze is off to a hot start. Shocks has got a good win or two. So then it's like Logan, if you start off at 1-3, like that, you're sitting in the same position. So it's like this game really is important for both teams. I think early on to not start 1-3. I think both teams, if they did, could easily bounce back, but I definitely would not want to be 1-3 with looking at Roger or Jay Glaze having success and then trying to battle Shocks or Kobe as well. So that's a game, but I think that game will be a defensive game because both guys seem, and watching that playoff game, I think it'll be probably the under for me if I had to bet on that.
Maniac, week number 5, what we betting on?
All right, week number 5, the Patriots versus the Eagles. I think we saw that Rusty Starr is back. He's performing really well. The Eagles are, though, a tough team. We obviously don't know the numbers yet, but the Eagles, he does play tough, and he's always like he's like, I think he's like really the embodiment of Philadelphia. He plays black and blue football. He's like, it's ugly, it's nothing pretty, but he always makes you earn the game. But I think the Patriots right now with Rusty Starr, he's just on another level right now. And I think, this game, I would definitely take the Patriots on that in the end to get the over. Probably looking at something like 7 or 8, 9, 10 points, something like that. But I do think that he would cover that for sure. Another one I think is going to be a very good game is the next one right down from that, the Cardinals and the Vikings. Joker has been putting up some good points. the Vikings have been playing pretty solid defense, but have also been putting up decent amount of points as well. I think this game really kind of is going to be one of those games that would probably would go over the points. They're probably looking at about 55-point spread, but I think definitely would probably go over the points. But this also could be one that you might want to stick away from because it could change with the Vikings playing a pretty good defense. I know he's got a couple of really good cornerbacks. Both teams actually have good cornerbacks, so they could actually have a lot of turnovers, so that could be an indication in this game. But nonetheless, it's going to be a good game to check out as well. And then, I know I'm kind of just going right down the line here, but Bears, Cowboys.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be like a rematch from the playoffs. Colin not really found his footing yet in the All-Pro settings. Dwayne is just steady Eddie. He could play on rookie. He could play on pro. He could play on All-Pro. He does his thing and does it well. I think though the Cowboys have shown so far that their defense is really solid so far this season, and I would definitely not take the over on this game. I just think that the Bears struggling a little bit on offense, it seems like. Cowboys defense is playing really well. You probably take the under on that one for sure. And then the last one that I'll talk about is Jets Texans. I think again this one kind of has that feeling it could be an over game, but the Texans really red hot. The Jets are playing pretty solid right now. I know he's kind of got a couple chinks, I guess, or whatever in his record right now. Did take the loss to the Bills and then struggled against the Jags. But I still think that the Jets are going to get things rolling. His offense is too stout. And I think both teams are going to be really an offensive firepower in this game. So I would probably looking at the overs on that game. But nonetheless, man, these games are going to be something to check out, tune in. Don't want to miss type of games because they're definitely going to be entertaining.
Commanders Lions, anyone? Trey returning home to face his old team that he built and handed to Tim. That's going to be a really fun one. Big Hurt, any other games caught your eye?
Oh, you just stole my thunder there. I was going to say, if I'm a bad man, I think Trey comes in with a vengeance and kind of says, hey, buddy, you remember that team I gave you? And remember, how good they were? Yeah, let me show you, how I do things around here. And I think Trey's going to have his sights zeroed in really good on that one. So that one is definitely something I'm looking forward to watching. I also would have to say kind of what I just touched on for week 4. If Bronco Man loses to Logan, then you've got a 1-3 matchup, Colts versus Titans in week 5. I'll tell you what, if those two teams are 1-3 and either one of those teams or whoever loses that game, you might as well just they're going to be setting things on fire. And it is going to be interesting because I would have never guessed. Right, exactly. Yard sale, things are going to be sold for free, given away. Yeah. So Titans, Colts, those are two teams I would have just never guessed to be in that position. But this is the OMFL. It's been a parody top to bottom, and then here we are in the thick of things going into week 5. But I would say one other thing that I would have not really game, but you kind of touched on the Jets and the Texans. I would say if the Texans win in week 4 and they have a flawless game like CJ Stroud has got 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think this would be a true test to see where Roger really is and confidence-wise, because since he has an elite secondary and a pretty good front 7 defense, and I think that would be a really good test for Roger. And I would be really excited to see that matchup. I also know Cincy well enough that he is not going to take that game lightly, because with Roger being the talk of things, the spotlight's on. He's going to see his moment to kind of maybe steal a little bit of that momentum and then carry that for the rest of the season a little bit. So I think that'll be right. I think so. I think that is going to be an interesting game for me for sure. And then I think that was it for me. Basically, you kind of said the Cowboys and the Bears already. So yeah.
Mr. Priest, you will have quite the matchup here in week 5. The big guys coming to your house, and you've had some impressive victories. Let's see what happens in week number 5. You have an opportunity to put a statement on this season with that roster that you have built. The last one that we're looking forward to, week number 6, Mr. Maniac, take it away.
All right, week number 6. Saints Panthers. I think.
Stop.
Anytime you two guys play, I'm just gonna say like you usually score a lot of points. So I think and anytime there's points scored and there's a matchup within the division, it's always an interesting game. Obviously, I won't know what the point spread is in this game because it's down the road, but I don't know if you go over, but I still think it's going to be an entertaining game nonetheless. And I know you're struggling a little bit on the currently and stuff, but I've also seen like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, I think. And I know the Panthers, again, like I said, he's not having a great season yet either, but I think it just makes for a good matchup, a good one to tune into. And I think it'll be interesting because both you guys kind of like sort of like in a rebuilding phase because your real life counterpart teams have done such poor jobs building your teams for you to start off. So you got to almost go from ground zero. But I still think that's going to be a good game to check out. Moving down.
Hey, don't knock on the Saints. They got Brandon Cooks in real life. Things are good.
Oh, I feel sorry for Nate. It's almost as bad as the Cowboys. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Just laughing at him.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
but
the old saying, "One man's trash is another man's treasure." It'll happen.
Well, that I guess that could be true, but don't go to the dump ground looking for it. Let it come to you. Yeah, that's so. Anyway, I mean, I'm intrigued by certain matchups and stuff, and I just think Saints Panthers are a big matchup. The one that we're all going to be tuning into is the Cowboys Commanders. That's going to be matchup of the week for sure. I mean, no doubt about it. And Dwayne versus Trey, and the thing about it too, Trey's got a 68 overall quarterback. I don't know how he's like competing with him, but he's got pretty good throw power and different things like that. So it's just, that's kind of the way Trey does. He gets these reclamation projects and really just kind of like flourishes with them and stuff. So he's kind of getting his team going the way he likes it, and be interesting to see how Dwayne and that vaunted Cowboys defense faces off against the Commanders. So this one's just definitely going to be one to tune into as well. Like I said, you're not going to be disappointed. You got the Commanders with his high-flying offense, and he plays really solid defense. The Cowboys at times can put up a lot of points and play solid defense. So I just think that's a recipe for a game that's just going to be one that will probably go down in the history books of the OMFL. And then I want to throw a little bit of praise out here to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been playing really well, and here's an opportunity for him to play against the Ravens as well in this matchup this week. He's going to the Ravens, going to Baltimore. He's been playing pretty solid. He's lost a couple of close games, but he's also won a couple. And I think he's been in every game. So let's see what happens in this game versus the Ravens. This could be like what you were talking about with Priest, the kind of setting the tone for him. Well, this could be something that could propel Shocks fans through the rest of the season if he gets a big victory over the Ravens. Definitely look at this game for one to check out in week 6.
Mr. Big Hurt, Mr. Maniac left a lot of bone on a lot of meat on the bone, I should say. Any games that you want to talk about there?
Yeah, I don't want to be chewing on the bone, but I'll chew on some of the meat on the bone. But the Patriots and the Jets is going to be a fun one. That's a division game. Again, good. Patriots, high flying offense with Rusty Starr back against the Jets secondary, divisional rivalry. I think the Bills and the Steelers is a fun one to watch. Just Penguins isn't out of things, and Maniac and AFC potential playoff matchup. Game that I was marked on that I was really excited about like a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it's lost a little bit of traction just with the slow start that Koch has had, but the Bengals and the Seahawks. And if Koch is going to get things turned around, he's going to have to do it quick. And maybe he plays well against Meek here and can gain some traction, gain some confidence. But Meek has seemed to bounce back and have a pretty good turnaround since week 1. The other one that would be fun to watch could be potentially a very high scoring game is the Bears and the Cardinals. Both teams have the potential to score 50 points at any moment. And so Joker's already done that. Colin has shown that, and potentially could be pretty good record wise for both teams sitting into week 6. And that could be a fun one to watch. And then I think the last one for me is just the Chiefs and the Ravens. I think the way Shocks plays against, again, Nipple, potential AFC playoff matchup. I think if Shocks is going to make a statement and gain some traction, that could be a statement win for him in week 6. But there's other games that are going to be fun to watch and could be, momentum starters for a team that still have a chance to turn things around. And one that I look at is the Giants and the Dolphins. Bill and Massimo, both are quality guys, and they could easily make a run in the playoffs in a season. Probably not the start that they both wanted or hoped for, but again, plenty of time to turn things around. And I think this will be a fun matchup for me to watch. But those are the games that I would probably tune into or be looking at for week 6.
All right, before we go to our next subject, I'm going to do what not to bet on. Bills, Steelers, Vikings, Falcons. I think both of those games are games I would not be placing money on, but they should be really fun games that I'll be watching to see who comes out on top, because these early season, week 4, 5, and 6 games, I think we'll go a long way when we get to the end of the season and look back and go, man, that game there made a big difference in seeding, or that game there made a big difference in wild card position or right outside of the playoffs. Those are going to be really, really fun games for us to turn around and watch. Before we go to our next segment, we're going to talk a little bit about what surprises us. This could be players, this could be coaches, this could be teams. This is a wide open array of opportunities for these guys here to tell me what surprised them. And then we're going to go open up the mailbag. We didn't have any OMFL news. Mr. Denbrute has no time for me, no method to get me anything. And so I didn't hear from him. So no OMFL news. But let's go ahead and talk about what is surprising us this week. I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and go ahead and talk about it. Mr. Roger and the Houston Texans. I mean, what a season this guy is having. We always pull for Roger, always want to see him do well. And right now he is doing just that really, really well. You've already talked about it. Shroud, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 60% completion percentage, only 5 sacks given up. Juwan Austin, 152 rushing yards, 4.5 average, only one touchdown. But look at the receiving yards. DeMarco doing what he does, 299 yards and a touchdown. But it's really Mr. Trey Tucker, 5'9", 185-pound receiver. He's only got 16 catches, but 243 yards, 81 yards a game, and 3 touchdowns already this season. They are getting it done. And looking at his defense, which I feel like he's had underrated, a bunch of really good picks. Butler's leading his team with 25 tackles and also 3 tackles for loss. Bronson is leading his team with 2 sacks, and his interception leader is Mr. Stingley Jr. Mr. Roger getting it done there in Houston. Big Hurt, what's surprising you so far early in season 114?
I think for me, it's some of the star power owners or guys that we anticipated to be kind of the dominant teams out of the gate. And I'll just kind of list some of the teams off for my for where I'm at. The Giants, I thought would bounce back, and just based off of his success on All Pro. The Titans, the Colts, the Chargers, some of those teams, the Bengals. I thought your Saints were going to have a really good year. I thought Kevin was going to bounce back. Some of these teams that just haven't seemed to find the traction or the momentum out of the gate. But on the flip side of things, you've got, not that Maniac isn't capable, but it's like Maniac's 3-0, and when I look at him, more times than not in the past, it's his defense. He just, like, it's like an anaconda. Like, he just strangles you to death until you can't breathe anymore. And then it's like he just snaps at you and then gets that pick, and it's like your life is gone. But in this season, if you go look at Maniac's stats, Josh Allen's playing like flawless football, and it's like the flip of the script. He's having the success, but not in the Maniac way that we know. The other thing, like the Dolphins, I thought they were going to bounce back and have a really big year. But you mentioned the Texans, the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Commanders. I thought, okay, Trey's Trey, but like he's got this team, he's got this quarterback, like he's going up against the NFC East, and can he compete just yet? I don't think he's going to get blown out. 4-0, like, you know. So I think the power where we see teams right now are the surprise for me is the guys that I thought would be probably at the top. Some of them are there, Dwayne and a couple other guys, but there's guys that I thought would be there and they're at the bottom. And then you have guys that I didn't think would either maybe be middle of the road trying to gain that, or maybe have to make a trade or do something. And we've got guys that are undefeated that I did not think that we would be talking about an undefeated 3-4-0 start.
Maniac, what's surprising you in season 114?
Really, just kind of looking at some of the stats from the team stats point of view, is the Commanders are the top overall offense so far in the league. He's got 6 passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. He's got 73 first downs already on the season. So he is actually just doing it on offense and doing it well. He's the leading rushing offense so far in the season. 537 rushing yards, 896 passing yards. Then it's also, what's kind of surprising is some of the teams that are on the opposite end of some of those stats. We got the Browns with the worst rushing offense so far on the season, with only 208 yards rushing, only 2 touchdowns rushing. He does have 6 passing touchdowns, but he's only got 46 first downs in comparison to the Commanders. So again, like, that's one of the things that just kind of shocking. And the Jets are not far off of there. Last season, he was an absolute beast at running the ball. And then this season, he's only 212 yards rushing so far with only 2 touchdowns. So a little bit of a struggle with balance. And if you look at a lot of those teams right there on the bottom end of that, they're struggling with the rushing. They're barely over 200 yards so far on the season. And you look at a lot of their other stats, it's kind of really affecting how they're playing so far. So be interesting to see if that gets corrected as the season goes on, or is that going to be something that's going to continue? But yeah, it's kind of surprising. And another thing, just throw right out real quick, is the Chiefs. He's got only one passing touchdown and has 6 rushing touchdowns, and nearly almost has was off of 100 yards, only more passing as he does rushing. So he's definitely getting it done on the ground, and he's controlling the clock. So that's just kind of a surprising stat from the stats.
All right, we're going to open this one up. I'll do one more myself, and I've been noticing this. I knew that I made these sliders harder. I am looking at stats and might make some minor adjustments, and technically, I hold things close because I think there's a placebo effect, and y'all just hear slider changes and you automatically just unravel. But here is what I've noticed, and that is the lack of running the ball. If you look at these top rushers, these averages per run are like historical NFL numbers: 7.1, 6.2, 5.2, 5.5, 5.9, 5.6. Like, these are historically good. And these numbers are actually really, really good. It's the attempts. I mean, Garvin's got 70 already, but everybody else is in that 50 range, 45. A couple of these lower guys are in the 36s. Just not seeing people stick to the run very much at all this season. And to me, that's a surprise because the passing is tougher. We've cranked up the defensive awareness and coverage because we went to All Pro. I have made some adjustments there to make it a hair easier. It's a bit strong. I am not touching pass rush. It feels about where we wanted, especially with All Pro, making running a little bit easier. It's a tad hard right now, even looking at these numbers, but I just don't think we're that far off. But I am trying to go with the feel of it and see how it feels. And overall, it feels like it's a little hard running the ball. But if you look at the stats, I feel like guys just aren't trying to run the ball. Open opportunity here. Anything else catch your guys' eyes as surprises?
For me, you kind of nailing it a little bit. My team specifically, I only am averaging 18 points a game. I have 331 yards rushing and 511 yards passing. And I just look at that when I sort by the league, I am the second worst passing team in the league.
Can I quickly throw something in there? You're averaging 4.2 yards a carry with Chase Brown, 6.8 with Bigsby. So you are low overall numbers, but your average is there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is it's funny that I'm looking at this, but then also remembering last season, I literally went through probably 9 running backs and I could not find any success at all. And I kind of overhauled my entire running back. I still have Spears. I use him a little bit, but it's Chase Brown, Bigsby, Spears. They're kind of like a 3-headed monster team tandem in the backfield. And I'm actually running the ball and having more success in playing a style of football that I like. I like to control the clock, play my defense, put the guys in certain situations. When I start just airing it out and getting into a shootout, yes, my defense, but it's just, I feel like my defense is worn down and just exposed in certain situations and whatnot. But I see a lot of these teams, and you kind of just nailed it a little bit, is the guys that, the Bengals, they're the number 1 passing team in the league, but they're 0-4. And then the Dolphins, they're the number 3 passing team and they're 1-3. The Bucks are 1-3 or something like that. And then, so it's the Bears, the Patriots, they're up there. The Commanders are up there. But some of these teams that have high efficient passing, And they're not like, I don't know interceptions wise if it's a turnovers thing, but like the teams that are running the ball, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Niners, the Cardinals, all have pretty good records. And so it's just interesting to see. But I also like find it really interesting and surprising that who's averaging the most points per game is D Money. And like D Money didn't like he can score, but he doesn't seem. If I was to guess like a high scoring, it'd be like the Jets or the Cardinals or, you know, right now the Texans or the Seahawks or somebody like the Lions or something like that, or the Patriots now that Rusty Starr is back. And it's the top 5 teams aren't even any of those teams. It's the Niners, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Falcons, the Cowboys. So it's and as I just said earlier, the number 17 points per game is the Bills with Maniac. And Maniac's for the first 3 seasons was I'll win with my defense. So it's just the way the things are playing out, it's ironic, but it's interesting and I'm enjoying it. I want to see more.
Yep. Maniac, anything else catch your eye before we go open up the mailbag?
No. Well, I just want to say that surprised, but not really surprised that the Buccaneers are back in the top in the passing. So I'm glad to see Kev slinging the ball around again, and maybe hopefully having fun. So
well, hey, easy, don't push it now. Like you're asking for a bit much for Kevin to enjoy himself. I don't think he is, but he does like to sling that thing a little bit. So let's go ahead and open up the mailbag. I know that we had a handful of questions. Apologies to my guy Tim, who posted a question that I will not accept just because I don't think it's a good question. I'm sorry, Tim. I love you, but don't think it's a good question. Randy says, biggest winner from season 114 draft and off season. I think we covered a little bit that last week. We didn't spend a ton of time because it goes so fast. It's hard to sort of digest everything that happened in literally like 72 hours. But now that we've been a couple of weeks into this, biggest winner outside of the Houston Texans, who have drafted really well on defense. And I think we're seeing some of those playmakers make an impact.
Yeah, that one's a loaded question. I think probably looking at the standings, some of the guys that done well in the draft, the Commanders. I think he's drafted well since he's taken over that team. He got the full draft this draft, and he got the players that he wanted. Even though it's a 68 overall quarterback, but it's a guy that he's playing with, plays comfortable with. I think another team you have to look at too is the Broncos. I think the Broncos have been one that played really well through the draft, and it played out the way they wanted it. And then I think he also picked up some pieces in free agency that has kind of helped shape his team and get to where he is right now. But yeah, I think if you look at the overall, I think the Commanders and the Broncos, I think, are probably the 2 biggest winners so far in the offseason.
For me, I'd have to say the Commanders and the Patriots. The Commanders pretty much overhaul their team. I think the Patriots just added to their team. Jimmy Stevenson, the running back, has had a pretty good start to his rookie campaign. And then the tight end, Gunnar Mason, is off to a fast start for his rookie campaign. Both weapons to add with Rusty Starr. I think that those were big wins and big adds for Lost. I think it's easy to pick, the low-hanging fruit with the Commanders. But I think a lot of it's also Trey just wanted new blood, new look, and I'm just going to take my guys, and he's got Jaden Daniels. He's got guys that can play above that quarterback, but it's like, you know what, he's looking ahead to Madden 26. He's going to build these guys and see what guys he wants to import. And so it's easy to just, pick the rookie and The running back's a stud. I think that's the guy that he definitely hit a home run on and could be an importable player. The quarterback, I mean, has tangibles to be a really good player, and Trey will build them up just as like he did in the past with Hooker. But I think like it'd be interesting to see if he was really in like I say compete mode, but he's 4-0. But if he really was like all in to try and win, like Jaden Daniels with that running back and like some of the other pieces, but roster wise and whatnot, he's gonna do it. He's gonna figure it out with the guys that he wants, and like I said, those are his type of guys, and he's gonna rock with them. And so it's easy to say them to win the offseason early on in the season, like for right now, looking at the stats and the statistics and stuff, and the standings. But for me, I think the winner would be the Patriots if I had to pick one, just because he got two big pieces that are going to contribute, and he's got Rusty Starr back.
Trey says, I feel like my cornerback and halfback ain't getting love because I'm doing everything with a 68 overall team. This guy's going to dislocate his shoulder, patting himself on the back so much. This is the part of Trey I don't miss. That we could talk about Trey all show, every show, and it wouldn't be enough. Trey never has enough Trey talk. He likes to talk about his successes in his team. We see you, Trey. We get it. Yes, 68 overall. We understand. Good job. Anyway, moving on. I'm just giving you a hard time, Trey.
I think we need a Trey's Take show.
No, yeah, by himself. Just extra content, not with me.
Hosted by yours truly, and hosted with Nate. That would be a good show.
No, I do love Trey as a human. I really do. I'm so proud of that guy and all the stuff he's pushed through, but drives me nuts how much he likes to talk about him and his team.
The first 30 minutes of the show, he's going to talk about the fullback that he got too. That's going to be the best part of it.
Logan, not Logan. Was it Logan? It was Randy. Sorry, Randy. Also said biggest loser. I think that one is a bit tougher because people get real hurt around here about everything that's said. I will go ahead and claim me. I've realized in the last 48 hours that this is why I suck the last two cycles is I am not developing players, and I have had 3 top 10 picks this Madden cycle, and all 3 would be backups on 90% of teams in this league. And I'm just not a good drafter. I'm not a good player developer, and this will probably be my last Madden cycle because this game has passed me by. Who is your biggest loser, Mr. Maniac?
I'll go with myself. I've sucked at drafting this Madden as well. I mean, I did get a decent defensive lineman, but I mean, it's just been like hit and miss for me. And we talked about it before. My team is actually aging quite a bit, so I definitely need to get some younger guys in. But I've either traded away my draft picks for players that were not real young, and maybe to help me out currently, but eventually it's going to kind of catch up. Which I know we're about winding down. So, but still, looking back, I would think probably the second season. First season, I probably should have hung on to like that second round picks that I traded away, and actually tried to maybe get a draft pick for them that they would have probably been a really nice player at this point in time in the season or in the cycle. So, but I have to take myself as a loser because I just haven't made the right decisions. I think that's not really impacted my team in a positive direction. It's kind of had either a negative or not so much of a positive to help my team. So, but I'll take myself.
Big Hurt, biggest loser from this past off season. Such a mean question, Randy.
I think this is ironic because like Nate, you pick you, Maniac picks him. I mean, I could easily say myself because I had no first round pick, no second round pick, no 4th or 5th round pick, something like that. And my guys that I got, none of them are playing. So, I mean, for my offseason, from my draft standpoint, it was like, why I shouldn't even. I should have just done the draft show and not even drafted. But I did. I did get some off-season moves and get picked up some guys that I do like. So I don't think the off-season was a complete waste. The things that I would say for me, and I will put a disclaimer before I say this. Nate, you said it. You hit the nail on the head. Guys get really hurt when you say this. So this is not me calling you out personally. This is just me analyzing what you did and how you prepped yourself. And I think for me, the biggest loser off the off season, not the draft, but like free agency and draft combined, I would say there's a few teams. The Jaguars, you came into the season with Will Levis or the Fields as your quarterback. I do like what you did with the rest of the team, but you drafted or didn't address in the free agency a quarterback issue that you knew you had and you didn't like, and so you did nothing about that. And then you built everything else, and then you came into the season like, I'm going to win the AFC South. What? How? I mean, I was kind of confused. I love talking to you, and I hope that you win. And I'm rooting for you, but it didn't make sense to me. The other one I would say is the Bengals. Like, I'm so high on what you did, but then it's like it's not translating to success. And I don't know if it's like a confidence thing or what it is, but like, where's little Koch? We need to send out like a wellness check on this dude, because like he has like fallen off the face of the earth. Like this dude was always in the playoffs, competing for championships, and he's just been non-existent. And like he had a good offseason from like a move standpoint, but like it's not translating from the offseason to the regular season. And then the last team I would say for me is and I call this guy out a lot, but I think Tim made some really good moves and got some pieces that I do like, but then like I question what certain things he did that didn't really make sense in my eyes. But everybody has their own twist of things, and that's how you analyze it. I just feel like he made some moves that I really was like shocked by. I feel like we're big pieces to his team, and I just feel like that's going to hurt him when push comes to shove. And I do think he's a playoff caliber team, so it's not like he's going to be low in the standings. But like I said, push come to shove, being in the playoffs, getting that big win or competing for an NFC championship, I think the moves that you made, I'm just questioning it. And so I would say he would be the probably the third team on the list for me.
Randy with another question. Favorite player that you added to your team in this past draft or free agency? I only have one that I actually like. That's my center. He's played really well. Everybody else on my team are complete bums. Big Hurt, who's your favorite player that you added either free agency or the draft?
That's a tough one. I would say probably favorite player that I've added. Probably, I'm gonna have to go with the tandem of the running backs, Chase Brown and Bigsby. They've had success, and I had no success last year. So bringing those guys in complement each other pretty well, and they've helped me get back to my like style of play and being able to run the ball a little bit. So I would say just the addition of my backfield.
Well, I mean, with lack of money and lack of draft choices, I'm gonna have to say probably Jadeveon Clowney. I picked up in free agency just off of the street through the waiver wire. He's 79 overall, but currently, like right now, he's leading my team in sacks, and he's been absolutely a beast so far, and he's only 79 overall, like I said. So, but he's 33. He's actually been very active on the pass rush and stuff. So I've kind of been like almost shocked, I guess, in a way. So that's so sad to say. Like a 79 overall, 33-year-old player is my favorite, but I'm hoping that this guy that I did draft, Felix Wiggins, will turn out to be somebody. He's 22. He is 78 overall, but I mean he's kind of slow, but he's got potential. But again, it's like it's not like a super great player. But yeah, that's that's where I'm at.
It's getting late. Let's see if we can't put on our go gadget rocket boots and get through some of these. Trey, you asked a really great question at the end of the mailbag. We're going to hold on to it, though, because that's going to turn into a long conversation, and I think could be a really fun one. So I want to do that one next week. Mr. Lost Sniper says, what is your least favorite or most tedious training camp? We'll use the words. We'll get them out. Be patient with us. What is your least favorite or most tedious training camp activity? For me, easy, hands down. I've yet to figure it out. Hunting. That is the most difficult one out there.
I would say either the kicking, just because you can have high power with a kicker and you should be fine. They're very tedious and they're just dumb. The one that frustrates me and angers me the most is
Chase
the damn
tackle?
Defensive back one.
Oh, that one's tough.
Unless I'm using a good corner, which, like, why am I going to use an elite corner, right? I want to build my shitty corner, so I'm going to go take my crap corner and trying to build them to be better. And here I am going up against, like, Gabe Davis or, one of my good receivers. And it's like every freaking time it's frustrating. But that would be the one that just probably angers me the most. But tedious, definitely one of the kicking ones.
The punting, no doubt about it. Now the one I will complain about the most, though, and sit there and like yell at the TV, like, I don't ever see this in the game. Why is it doing it in practice mode? So it's like you're going the DBs, like you're going against a wide receiver, and they're doing like all kinds of like double moves and like quick break,
and your quarterback throws dots, like just freaking all-star human level, Hall of Fame level dots.
And you're like, where's this in the game? So that's the one that really gets my blood kind of boiling. I'll roll with it. But
sorry, Nate, I gotta say this. I can hear Nate make a play.
It drives me nuts. Logan says, what position will you look to upgrade through trade this season that you didn't feel during the offseason? Logan, no one ever trades with me, so none?
I tried to trade with you, and
you tried to get my first-round draft pick that'll be a top 5. Of course. You weren't doing me favors here, buddy.
What do you want me to take? Like nothing for a superstar
but just don't make it sound like you
linebacker?
were giving me a charity case here.
Oh, gosh.
I was giving you a bona fide elite starting middle linebacker.
An X factor that I got zero benefit out of because we don't have abilities on.
He's still got like 90 speed, good coverage, makes a lot of tackles.
He's still trying to sell it to you.
Oh yeah.
And here's the best part. I haven't even played a down. He hasn't played a down this season for me because I was saving him to make sure that he was available. Position group.
No. I gotta give you the best part of this offer since he brought it up. This dude tried to milk me for a 5th-round draft pick after getting my 1st-round draft pick for an extra 300 or 400 points on top of what he was offering me.
I did offer that, but I didn't know what the points are. And then when you said that, I said, "Oh, we'll take the 5th rounder off." That's fine if that's how the points break down.
My guy was trying to get all he could get out of that cow.
Well, for me, what position did I look to upgrade? I actually already made that move. Like within the first week of I traded a 2nd and a 3rd round pick to Shocks fan for a starting young left tackle that's actually been playing pretty solid. My offensive line has only given up 3 sacks so far, so they've definitely been improved. They've played better. I did get one good offensive lineman last season. It's usually my first pick is the one that is decent, and then everything else after that it's just like trash and on somebody else's roster now. So, but I have slowly kind of built my offensive line back. So that was the one thing that I knew I had to improve was my left tackle, and I did that from the Kansas City Chiefs. So thanks, Shocks fan.
Eric?
I just said earlier while we were going back, and I was getting milking motions from you. I would say offensive line for me. Offensive line is definitely where I need to improve. Just the Vikings they have Darisaw who's good, and I got Blake Miller or whatever his name is, a left guard. But like my center to right tackle, I did pick up Orlando Brown in the free agency, which he's played well, but just my center, my right guard, they're not like great. So I need to improve that. And especially with like the defenses, the Bears, the Lions, the Packers, my division, they all have great front sevens. So that's just something I need to improve to compete against my own division guys. Plus the rest of the NFC, the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Giants, the Niners, everybody. So
offensive line in Madden is just a weird position. I feel that they can be very difficult to pinpoint what brings success and what doesn't. It's a very weird position to me. Roger says the top quarterback in this class was 71 overall. The draft of late has not been kind to signal callers. What does that force teams to re-sign at a high? Does that force teams to re-sign at a high price tag versus taking a chance on a low overall rookie? I would suppose so. I think we're seeing guys that maybe would have been cut the last couple of Maddens get longer deals and stay playing a little bit longer. Guys are not sort of canning or selling off those high-priced quarterbacks to sort of start over and repeat the process. I think Trey has proven to be very good at that. Maniac in the past has been very, very good about that. D-Money even at times has done that with quarterbacks, but we're not really seeing that this man. Any thoughts on quarterback classes, guys?
I think the quarterback classes have been there this cycle. This last draft probably wasn't the greatest, but I think there's always the gem in the rough that you can find that has good throw power, and you get a guy like Trey that can utilize a guy that's got 95 throw power and just other tangibles to be successful as he's shown. But I think for the average Joe in the league, you gotta have a little bit more, and this is the way like all Madden was playing, the DBs and now the all pro settings that we're on with the high reactions. I think quarterbacks is a tough position. You get what you pay for, but at the same time, like to build the rest of the roster, it's easy to shave and save money when you're not paying a quarterback. And so I think that's the easy position to like save money on. But at the same time, like when you find a guy that works well, for me, it's kind of hard to just let that guy walk too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the quarterback classes have been lower. The first season I think was really good when you saw like McDimes for the Jets and a couple other guys that they got in that draft. You've seen that those guys are playing really solid and looking like franchise quarterbacks for the next Madden as well if they take them over. But I think too, though, you have to look at it. We try to kind of mimic real life, and I think sometimes you get like the last Madden. We probably had so many quarterbacks that we had so many on the street. If somebody went down with an injury,
good point.
You didn't have to scramble to get a decent quarterback, because there was like 80 plus overall guys just sitting on the street. So I think it's been a little bit tougher, but I think also it's also kind of made guys like appreciate that position a little bit better, a little bit more in this Madden than in the previous maybe last couple. So, it has forced guys to make decisions on those positions where, like I said before, it's like, oh well, I'll just let him hit free agency. Nobody's going to bid on him, and I'll draft a replacement because I can get one pretty easy or whatever. So that's kind of the mentality. But I do like the fact, and of course Josh Allen could go down with an injury next game, and I'm stuck with a 71 overall backup. And that's just gonna be the way the way it is. But I do think it actually brings a different dynamic to the league.
Part 2 of that question: what effect, if any, do you see this having on imports for Madden 26? Depends on the randomness of the rest of the drafts, but I think we may see. I think we'll always see someone take a chance and bring a quarterback over. Somebody. It also depends on what happens in the NFL, but you'll probably see a bunch of, I think, skill position players make the jump, and we may even see some of the highest percentages of multiple cycle imports go. Yeah. No thoughts on part 2?
That's what I say. I was kind of waiting, but I guess I'll kind of talk about that too, because I've actually thought about, because Shepard, he's actually a third Madden generation player. He'll be retiring this Madden, because I obviously am not taking him, but I've got a couple guys like Golden that I brought over. He's an outside linebacker, defensive end, edge specialist. He's only 25 or 26, so he definitely could make the move over to the next Madden, and I've kind of processed that and thought about that. Another one is my wide receiver, Leverett. I've built him up from the cracks. He came from nowhere. He was like a 71 overall, and built him up so far this Madden, and he's actually a really nice player. So he might be somebody that would take over to make that next Madden jump, multiple Madden jumps. But I do think, no matter what, you're still going to have your Treys. It's going to get the 68 overall quarterback. There you go, Trey. We're talking about your 68 overall quarterback that he'll probably take to the next Madden. Just for the simple fact that that's going to be his guy that he wants to play with. And I think there's always going to be those. And I think, and two, with the incentives and stuff that guys can get, you can take a lower overall guy that's got some really good stats, and then you can pump him up in the next Madden, and you can turn him into a beast. So that's just kind of like the thing I look at. That, yeah, it may affect some imports, but not really. As long as the tangible stuff is there, speed, the throw power, all that stuff, you're able to build them kind of the way you want to build them through the incentives that we have as a league, and stuff that you've actually put in, and stuff that makes the league unique. So again, no matter what their overall is, you could take a 71 overall guy, put the perks that you can earn, and then next thing you know, 2 seasons in the next Madden, you got an 88 overall guy that's just rocking and rolling.
Tim says, what is up with all these injuries to start the? Oh no, Big Hurt didn't say anything. Sorry, see, it's getting late. I need a nap. Big Hurt, and finish that last question.
No, I just think the effect of it going into Madden 26 is like really just depends on the team, the money situation, like what the rookies. I think like a lot of us look at the team and how the draft is going to play out. For you, I know like the Saints are talking drafting Jackson Dart like do you. So if that's
They're
the
not
case,
talking draft Jackson Darts.
anyways, but I mean, so like if that's gonna happen, are you gonna like rock with that guy, build that guy up? You know, like how you want to trade. The big thing is, like I said, quarterback's just the easiest position. Like I feel like start the cycle off, get your quarterback, have him ready for the whole season, like the whole cycle, and then you're 4 or 5, you're that 4-year rookie contract with the 5th-year option. It's like kind of covers you the whole cycle to where you're not paying buku bucks on a big quarterback.
Yeah.
And again, that's the contract that really eats up a chunk. So like when you have that low end quarterback money wise, then it kind of frees up and allows you a little bit more freedom on the rest of your roster.
Tim says, what's up with all these injuries to start the season? I'm not accepting that. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that. Like, what is up with all these injuries? That's not a real question. Nothing has been touched, just so everybody knows. Not fatigue, not injuries. Like, that is the same as they have been for the last 3 seasons. So it's just the way it's supposed to play out. And I don't even think it's
you
all
have
that
the
bad.
Detroit Lions. They were had 36 injuries in real life. This game's realistic in a way.
Nice, Sanger. Which rookies have impressed through the first 3 weeks? I got Neon Sports pulled up, and as Trey likes us to do, kudos to Trey. His rookies are leading in a lot of these statistics: kicking, punting, rushing, passing. One of the top tacklers, the top interception guy. Interceptions, not so much, but a top 5 wide receiver. So all of those guys are playing exceptionally good football. Justin Tucker, the quarterback, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Really, really impressive. J.R. Walker got a little playing time for the Packers. He's not a starter, but he still came in with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Stevenson, running back for the Patriots, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. So a couple of guys having some pretty good seasons. Any rookies caught you guys' eye?
One thing I want to say is the more we keep talking about Trey, he's going to have that. There's always that one guy that has that like picture and his head's just so massive that it doesn't even fit. I can just feel Trey's head just swelling that the next Press Pass Live he's on, you're going to have to take up 2 spots for his picture because welcome Trey is back. Anyways, rookies, we talked about it. Like, I think he did a roster overhaul, picked all his guys, and he's just going to rock with it. So it's easier when you compare rookies to rookies. Like, he's having a good year. It's Trey. Like, he has a rookie quarterback, has a rookie running back, has a rookie receiver. Like, he's probably one of the only teams that has a rookie at all of the spots. Yeah. So it's easy to see them at the top. But at the same time, like, there's certain other rookies that are competing and doing well for certain teams. Like I said, the ones that kind of stood out for me were the Patriots. You plug them in play with a quarterback like Rusty Starr, and you just hope that they can produce well enough. And the tight end and the running back are doing just that. So I think those are a couple of the rookies for me. Defensively, there was a rookie, but I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was. I have to go back and look. But yeah, I mean, it's easy. Like I said, it's easy to pick the Commanders rookies just because all of his starters are basically rookies.
Yeah, I mean, the one that really caught my eye so far has been that tight end for the Patriots, that Gunnar Mason, I think is his name. He's definitely a beast, and I think he's going to make a big difference for that offense for the Patriots and stuff. And he's kind of in that same mode as like the guy from the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't think of their names right now. And plus, I'm getting tired. But those guys, they always seem to get open. They're always, and that's kind of the way the experience I had in the game that I played him. He seemed like he was always open, and he seems to be pretty sure-handed and stuff. I think one guy on the defensive side, and I know the Bengals are kind of having a little bit of a down time, but that Claxton, I think, is the middle linebacker that he got I don't know. He just seems like he's kind of a little beast. He's a superstar, I think, already, and he's so fast. Like he's as fast as some of the cornerbacks in this league. And he's playing middle linebacker, and he's like 6'3" or 6'2". So I think probably looking at things, that's probably going to be talking about imports. That's probably going to be an import for the Bengals. He just looks like a beast.
These
One guy I forgot to mention.
Go ahead.
Was the receiver for the Cardinals? Yeah. Roman Crompton, I think is his name.
Yeah.
95 speed, 98 excel. Like just the way Joker plays, likes to take his deep shots. And then he has that high end second-year running back. I think he's a second-year player, Montel Meadows or whatever his name is. He's quietly built an offense that is very fitting to how he likes to play, and they're going to succeed and they're going to do well. But that Crompton receiver that he got as a rookie, he's a 78 overall, but he's seems to be playing pretty well for the Cardinals.
These go gadget rocket boots have cement in them. We're not getting through these quick at all. What coach has surprised you by their start this season? We've talked about a couple. I'm going to hang with mine, Roger. Just super happy for him to see some success. He's a great team builder, always one of the top offenses. And this season, things are rolling well for him. Want to leave some meat on the bone. So, Big Hurt, who's been the coach that has surprised you most this season?
Surprised me or just that I'm happy? I would say Texans, Broncos, and who was the other one that I was looking at? Oh, Falcons.
I definitely got to say the Texans is the biggest one that's surprised me as a pleasant surprise. And also just the Broncos, we already named him, Big Hurt named him stuff, but both those guys starting out, they're 3-0 right now and looking really, really to make a push into the rest of the season. So
Commanders, Vikings, Cardinals, I'd also put on that list all teams that are having really, really great seasons. Lord forbid if we don't mention the Commanders. He may unsubscribe and not hit the like button. We wouldn't want that. Trey says, one thing that has surprised you about your team and one thing that surprised you about the league. I'll start. The league has been the lack of running attempts. Even though the averages are there, the yards are down. And I don't know if it just feels like people aren't getting success. I do know those numbers are slightly inflated by a couple of big plays that have happened, but still the averages say that guys should stick to the run a bit more. Games also seem to be going very quickly. Something else that I'm keeping an eye on. One thing that surprised you about your team, for me, it is the reason I have failed, and it is the lack of offensive line play, and protecting my quarterback. I'm top 3 in sacks allowed. That's why my completion percentage is low and why I can't score any points. I just get sacked every time I back up. And the lack of defensive production. I've got no sacks from 285 overall defensive linemen that are playing outside linebacker in a 3-4. I get no pressure. Guys have all night to sit back there, and I can't figure it out. It drives me insane. So what about you, Mr. Maniac? What has surprised you about your team and surprised you about the league?
So far, my quarterback play, like Big Hurt talked about earlier, Josh Allen has played lights out for me. I've just made good decisions with him, and then the moves that I made with the offensive line have seemed to help, because last season I was the top sack give up or through the league. I think I had like 45 or 46 sacks given up in the league. So I was like top 2. But that's been a pleasant surprise for my team. And then Jadeveon Clowney, like I already talked about, he's late addition through the waiver wire, but he's been solid and really has helped impact my defense so far throughout the first 3 games. So in the league, I think the fact that guys are really kind of pushing the envelope for the passing. I think it's kind of I don't know if it's like it's a bad thing or whatever. Maybe they're kind of like it's type of deal where you're testing the waters out, just to see like how rough it really is, that type of thing. So, but definitely, I want to run the ball more. But I have felt like I've struggled running the ball, especially against certain teams and stuff. So, but maybe that's just the scheming part of the game that you're just going to have to scheme around or whatever. But definitely, I think there's kind of some, like I said, testing out the waters, and guys are really trying to tiptoe around and see what's going on and how it's going to be affected the rest of the season.
One thing I would say that I'm surprised about my team is just the efficiency of being able and the success in the run game. It's allowed me to play, more balanced. I was very pass heavy, and that has changed, and that has let me come back to my comfort zone a little bit. The second thing I would say about the league is just, I don't know if I should say it the way I want to say it, but just the lack of, I would say the lack of buying in and the willingness to know, and I've kind of had this, he said, but the willingness to just know that the OMFL is the place to be. I think there's a lot of things that I've seen and over the last 3-4 weeks, but also at the end of last season, I think certain teams have done things FPR wise that it's like, that's not okay, and why are you doing that? Or like, certain things, and I think that just like it adds so much stress to certain board members and just certain things that it's unneeded, it's unwanted, and you're not really doing yourself a favor. You're not doing the league a favor. And so I just feel like I think the surprise thing is just, especially long-standing members that are doing it, is kind of shocking. And then the flip side of things is just the balance of power. Like I talked about, some of the teams that I thought would be high, 3-1, 3-0, 4-0 teams are struggling, and some of the teams that I thought would be 500 or so, and they're undefeated, which I'm happy to see, but just didn't see it coming.
Emotional damage.
You know the rules, and so do I. Say goodbye.
Last question from Mr. Trey. We're going to save his other one until next week. Any divisional races surprise you off the rip, or has it been as expected? See, Trey is the mastermind. This is a joke, but I feel like I got to say this about Trey because he might get caught up in his feelings and come punch me in the face. Trey's a mastermind of crafting questions that make us talk about Trey, and I think he's just really good at it. I would say no, these races for me are just too early. We're 4 weeks in. So much stuff can change. I would not be surprised by any of these teams that are winning at a high rate. I would say Titans, Giants, Chargers, Steelers, Chiefs, Colts, those surprise me that they're sitting at 1 win. Those are not teams I thought would be sitting at as a 1-win team early. But again, so much stuff happens early in a season. Big Hurt, any of these early divisional races surprise you?
The only one that really surprises me is just the AFC South. I feel like it's kind of, I figured the Texans would be competing, but not at the top at 3-0, and the 1-2 or 1-3 teams would be at the top, and they're one-win teams. That's the one division. I figured the AFC West would kind of probably be, that's how the division's coming, but I just thought it would be the Chargers probably at like 2-1 type of thing. The Broncos, I could see them being 2-1, 3-0. The Chiefs and the Raiders, like, again, it's too early to tell, but that, I think the only thing that really surprises me about that is the Chargers at 1-2. I'm not surprised about my division after last year. The South, I've thought that the Saints would be in the 2-1, or I think you had a pretty rough schedule to go. I can't remember exactly who you had, but I thought they would be like maybe 2-1 or something like that. But other than that, I don't like. I mean, if Trey's trying to get us to talk about it, I figured he would be.
I'm just thinking about that.
So.
What was that from Prices Right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I'm sorry, I got tickled at it, man. But yeah, I don't see really. I mean, the only one that I could really see is the Texans. I know we've all said it. We hope they would start having a good season, putting things together, have the ability to be there, and now we're seeing it. And I think his team is like so well put together. So I'm really excited to see how everything turns out. I think probably by week 6, 7, 8, we're going to really start looking at how these divisions are starting to play out.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time. Somebody sent me a message. Trey's last question that we're going to save, Trey, is create the perfect OMFL player based on these attributes: offensive game plan, defensive game plan, offensive reads, defensive user ability, friendly banter, only use one owner at a time. I think that's a great question. Going to be a fun one. So we'll come back to it on next week. One final thought, Mr. Big Hurt.
I don't know. Just play your games. Have fun.
Just play your games. I love it. Maniac, one final thought.
Schedule your games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I come home from the last 2 days working 12 hours. I'm just like happy to be doing something outside of work and a part of the OMFL, and I get just to see like why we have so many injuries. It's like, oh my goodness.
I won't lie. And I don't think either one of these guys will watch the show because I'm not surely how engaged their life has allowed them to be. But I was pretty frustrated at Meek and D-Money this past week. I tagged both of them several times. No response, no DMs, nothing to Denbrew, nothing to me. After 3 days, I finally created a chat and asked them. They didn't try to get it in. There was no communication about it. I was ready to pop both of them with an FPR thing and just move on with my life. But that kind of stuff gets under my skin. It's like, it's just a blatant lack of respect for all the work that goes into this league and the people who for free give their time and their energy to this place of like, just be a human and communicate. Like that is all that's being asked of you. Be human and communicate. I don't think that is a whole lot. So it was pretty disappointing to see that. But yeah, everything else is going well. Outside of every time we hit 3 days, you will hear Beal say something about it. So that's never fun to see that. I'm enjoying it. It's late. I need to get to bed because I got to drive to the office tomorrow, which means I can't sleep in. I got to get up early in the morning. So Maniac and Hurt, thank you. Guys, all for the OMFL mailbag questions. Thank you. Those dropped off late in the season, as they normally do. It's okay. But it was good to kind of get back into it. We'll be back with you again next week. Until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Know that you matter. I love you. I can't wait to see you. God bless. Peace.
Doses.
Smash that like and subscribe.